Hello. Okay. Let's continue to reading our books. Additional background: The Deep Mute Blind Man. In those early years, the Bolsheviks were desperate, 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 no, desperate for foreign goods, services, and capital investments. They knew that they would be gouged gouged, gouged gouged by their capitalist associates. But what of it? It wasn't their money. All they cared about was staying in power, and that's not as easy as it may have seemed. Imagine the capital in which they seized control of the mechanism of government. They still did not control the country at large. In fact, in 1919, Lenin had almost given up hope of expanding beyond Petrograd and a part of Moscow, except for Odessa. All of southern Russia and the Crimea were in the hands of General Denikin, who was strongly anti-communist speaking. Before the 10th Congress of the Russian Communist Party, Lenin laid it out plainly. Without the assistance of capital, it would be impossible for us to retain proletariat 无产阶级 proletariat proletarian power in an incredibly ruined country in which the peasantry also ruined constitutes the overwhelming majority, and of course, for this assistance, capital will squeeze 100% out of us. This is what we have to understand. Hence, either this type of economic relations or nothing. On other occasion, Lenin further explained his rationale rationale 逻辑依据 ra ra ration no rationale for accepting Wall Street's term. He said the capitalists of the world and their governments, in pursuit of conquest of the Soviet market, will close their eye to the indicated higher reality and thus will turn into mute blind men. They will extend credits, which will strengthen for us the Communist Party in their countries and give us the materials and technology we lack. They will restore our military industry, indispensable for our future victories, attack our suppliers. In other words, they will labor for the present preparation of their own suicide. Other Bullard, mentioned previously as the representative in Russian of the U.S. Committee on Public Information, apparently understood the Brsk strategy well. Even as early as March of 1918, he sent a cablegram 电报 to Washington warning that while it is true we ought to be ready to help any honest government indeed, nevertheless, he said, men or money sent to the present rulers of Russia will used against the Russians at least as much as against Germans. I strongly advise against giving materials help to present Russia government. Sinister elements in Soviets seem to be gaining control. Unfortunately, Mr. Bollard was a minor player in this game, and his opinion was filtered by others along the way. This cablegram was sent to his superior, 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 superior. None other than Cole Edward Manor House, in hopes that it would be relayed to the president. The message did not get through. A side trip through World War II, a side trip, a side trip through World War II. 二战，一战完了，二战。旁路之旅。Return to the trail of actual events since that time. Let us pause briefly to take a short side trip through World War II. Announcing and profiting from both sides in conflict has never been more blatant, 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 blatant. From the beginning of Hitler's rise to power, German industry was heavily financed by American and British bankers. Most of the largest US corporations were knowingly invested in war industries, e.g., Farben was the largest of the industrial cartel and was a primary source of political funding for Hitler. It was Farben that staffed and directed Hitler's intelligence section and ran the NASA slave labor camps as a supplemental source of manpower for German's factories. Farben even hired in the New York public relations firm of Ivy Lee, who was John D. Rockefeller's PR specialist, to help improve Hitler's public image in America. Lee incidentally had also been used to help sell the Soviet region to the American public in the late 1920s. Much of the capital for the expansion of Farben came from Wall Street, primarily Rockefeller's National City Bank, Dillon Reed Company, also a Rockefeller firm, Morgan's Equitable Trust Company, Harris Forbes Company, and yes, the predominant Jesuit firm of Columbus predominantly 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 during the Allied bombing raids over Germany. The factory and administrative building of E.G. Farben was spared upon instructions from the U.S. War Department. The War Department was liberally staffed with men who in civilian life had been associates of the investment firms previously mentioned. For example, the Secretary of War at that time was Robert P. Patterson. James Forrestal was Secretary of the Navy and later became Secretary of Defense. Both men had come from Dillon Reed, and in fact, Forrestal had been president of that firm. During World War II, under the Lend-Lease program, the United States sent to the Soviets more than 11 billion in aid, including 14,000 aircraft, nearly half a million tanks, and other military vehicles. Vehicles. More than 400 combat ships, and even half of the entire U.S. supply of uranium, uranium, 我的妈，uranium, which then was critically needed for the development of the automatic bomb, but fully one-third of all Lend-Lease shipments during the period comprised industrial equipment and supplies to be used for the development of the Russian economy after the war. And when the war did end, the Lend-Lease program continued to flow into the Soviet Union for over a year. As late as the end of 1946, Russia was still receiving 20-year credit terms of percent interest, a far lower rate than return GIs could obtain. The transfusion mechanism. Transfusion. With the terminal of Lend-Lease program, it was necessary to invent new mechanisms for the support of Soviet Russia and her satellites. One of these was the sale of much needed commodities at prices below the world market and in fact below the price that the Americans themselves had to pay for the same items. This meant, of course, as it did in the case of Lend-Lease, that the American taxpayer had to make up the differences. The Soviets were not even required to have the money to buy these goods. American financial institutions and the federal government and international agencies which are largely funded by the federal government, such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, lend money to them. Furthermore, the interest rates on these loans also are below the market, requiring still additional subsidy by American citizens. And that is not all. Almost all of these loans have been guaranteed by the United States government, which means that if no make that when these countries default in their payments, the gullible, the gullible American public is once again called upon to make them good. In other words, the new mechanism innocently and deceptively referred to as trade is little more than a thinly disguised means by which members of the Round Table who direct our national policies have bled billions of dollars from American citizens for an ongoing economic transfusion into the Soviet bloc and continue to do so now that the world solvent had been changed to the less offensive democratic socialism. This, en- this enables those regimes to enter into contracts with American business and to provide essential services. And the circle is complete from the American taxpayer to American government to socialist region to the American businessman and ultimately to the American financiers who fund the project and provide the political influence to make it all possible. This is the key understanding the transfusion mechanism. Many Americans have looked at this process and have jumped into the conclusion jumped to the conclusion that there must be a nest of the communist agents within our government. In an exam on earlier politics, they would receive half credit for that answer. Yes, there undoubtedly have been and continue to be red agents and sympathizers burrow deep into our government work, and they are all too happy to help the process along. But the main motivating force has always come from the non-communist, non-democrat, socialist, non-American, non-anything members of the Roundtable Network who, as Lenin said, in the pursuit of profit are laboring for the preparation of their own suicide. These men are incapable of genuine, 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 incapable of genuine patriotism. They think of themselves not as citizens of any particular country, but as citizens of the world. They can do business just as easily with bloodthirsty dictatorships as with any other governments, especially since they are assured by the transfer mechanism that the American taxpayer is going to make good on the deal. When David Rockefeller was asked about the property of providing funding for Marxist and communist countries which are openly hostile to the United States, he responds, I don't think an international bank such as ours ought to try to set itself as a judge about what kind of government a country wishes to have. Wishes to have? He was talking about Angola, where the Marxist dictatorship was forced upon the people with Cuban soldiers and Soviet weapons. Thompson Silbert, vice president of Citicorp, was asked in 1981 about his bank's loan to Poland. Was he embarrassed by making loans to a communist country, especially following the region's brutal repression of free trade unions? Not at all. Who knows which political system works? He replied. The only test we care about, can they pay their bills? What he meant, of course, was, can the American tax pay Poland's bills? Item. The following item, taken directly from the Los Angeles Times, just a few months after Silbert's statements, tells the story. Washington. For months, the Reagan administration has been using federal funds to repay bullish loans owed to the U.S. banks, and the bill for this fiscal years, fiscal years for these fiscal years may amount to 400 million. Deputy Secretary of Agriculture Richard E. Line said Monday the published authorities have not been making payments for at least the last half of the last year, Lane said. When they don't make a payment, the U.S. Department of Agriculture makes the payment. Lane said the U.S. government paid 60 million to 70 million a month on guarantee bonus loans in October, November, December, and January, and we will continue to pay them. This, remember, was precisely at the time of British government had declared martial law and was using military force to crush workers' demonstrations for political reform. The Polish default on this 1.6 billion loan was by no means of isolated events. Communist Romania and a multitude of Latin American countries were soon to follow. The hard fact is that the Americans unknowingly have been making monthly bank payments on behalf of the communist, socialist, and so-called third world countries for many years, and with the more recent staging of apparent reform within the former Soviet bloc, Congress has tripped all over itself to greatly accelerate that trend. Americans, of course, want to believe that the evil imperial is crumbling, and Soviets turned the Democrats directly to that desire. Since the end of World War II, their primary objectives have been one, to disarm us, and two, to get our money. The facade of perestroika and glasnost have been merely a ploy to accomplish both objectives at once. All they have had to do is to get rid of a few of the old hardliners, replace them with less well-known personalities who are essentially the same. All of the new leaders come from the ranks of the old leadership, change their labels from communists to social democrats, and then sit back while we happily tear down our military defenses and rush billions of dollars to their foreign economies. There undoubtedly will be some progress allowed in the area of free speech, but the military and security organizations continue in full readiness. The iron first beneath the velvet glove remains ready to strike when the time comes that the facade is no longer necessary.啦啦啦啦啦啦！我勒个天，我勒个天，我勒个天！这些银行家真的是明目张胆啊！The there will be some progress allowed in the area of free speech, but military and sector continue in full readiness. The area first beneath that velvet glove remains ready to strike when the time comes that the facade is no longer necessary. 毫无疑问，在义务人将允许一些但军事和安全领域依然保持充分的戒备状态，免得容忍他的铁拳随时准备出击。一旦伪装不再必要时，便会主动发出攻击。The under will be some progress allowed in aerospace, but the military or sector organizations continue in full readiness. The iron fist, 铁拳 The iron fist. Iron fist. Iron fist. Beneath the velvet glove. Beneath the velvet glove. Remains ready to strike. Velvet. Velvet. Iron fist beneath the velvet glove. When the time comes, the suffocate is no longer necessary. 绒手套下的铁钳 The iron fist beneath the iron fist beneath the velvet glove. Velvet glove beneath the velvet glove. Even the entire employee were genuine, 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 genuine. There's no reason to believe that these social democracies will ever become better investment risk. The primary thing that has held them back economically in the past is their socialist system, and that most definitely will not be changed. All of the new anti-communist socialist groups have pledged their loyalty to the principles of Marx and have said in plain language that they will use our money to deploy it, not abandon socialism. To develop, not abandon socialism. These countries will continue to unproductive and will continue to be unable to pay their loans. The American taxpayer will continue to be forced by the cabal to pay the bill. Cabal, no, cabal, by the cabal to pay the bill. Item, okay. Before the Bresker couple, the fee. Russia was one of the most productive agricultural nations in the world. The great wheat fields in Ukraine justly earned the title of the bread basket of the Europe. But when the people's utopia arrived, agriculture came to standstill, and farming stalked the land. Even after Stalin, when the Regency is said to have adopted more humane and productive policies, Russia never produced enough food for itself. A nation that can feed citizens cannot develop its industry, and it certainly cannot build a potent military force. It is not surprising, therefore, that for decades the United States have annually sold tens of millions of tons of wheat and other foodstuffs to Russia. The quote markets are to emphasize the underlying transfusion mechanism previously described. Item: The American government industrial complex provided Soviets with money, technology, and actual constructions of two of the world's largest and most modern truck plants, the Kama River plant and the Zil plant, produced over 150,000 heavy-duty trucks per year, including armored personnel, personnel carriers, and missiles launchers, plus 250,000 diesel engines, many of which are used to power Soviet tanks. 45% of the cost of this project came from the U.S. Export-Import Bank, an agency of the federal government, and an equal amount from David Rockefeller's Chase Manhattan Bank. The Soviets put up only 10%. The loan, of course, was taxpayers guaranteed by the U.S. Export Bank, which at the time was under the direction of William Casey. Casey later was appointed as head of CIA to protect America from global communism. Are you beginning to get the picture? Yes. Yes, really, really. Almost every important facet of Eastern Bloc heavy industry could well be stemmed made in the USA, with the specific approval of each successful president. We have provided the latest oil drilling equipment, chemical processing plants, chemical plants 车间吗？车间吗？工艺吗？工厂啊，工厂。Air traffic radar systems, equipment to produce precision bearings, large craft helicopter engines, laser technology, highly advanced computer systems, and nuclear power plants. We have trained hundreds of the technicians in American institutions and factories and have provided their astronauts with space suits developed by NASA. We have even trained their pilots at U.S. Air Force Base and paid for their military officers to attend our war college. All of this have been used by the Russian government, as Lenin predicted it would, to build their military industry in preparing for attack on their suppliers. The great pretense of quelling communism has not altered that strategy. It may even be the implementation of it. When Boris Yeltsin 这么多证据 China's the new organism 好了，这把到中国了。When Boris Yeltsin seized control of the former Soviet government, one of the first official acts was to decree that foreign business had the right to take their profits out of the country. From a purely business perspective, that was a sound move because it would provide incentive for foreign investment. But provide incentive. There's more to it than that. Recall from the previous chapter that alliance share of that investment was to be funded by American taxpayers in the form of direct aid, bank loans, bailouts, and government insurance through the Overseas Private Investment Corporation. Jane Ingraham provides the detail. During 1992, Yathlin willed and deed with Royal Dutch Shell British Furniture Architecture and the Sharon joint venture to develop the Tengze oil field was signed. McDermott International Market Oil and signed a contract with the Russian government to deploy its oil and nature, natural gas of Sakhalin Island, Chervin, and formed a consortium to build a huge pipeline to carry crude oil from Kazakhstan to the Black Sea, Mediterranean, and the Persian Gulf. Accidentally, Persian assigned a joint venture with Russia to modernize two oil fields in Siberia. Newmont Mining signed a joint venture to extract gold in Uzbekistan. Millionaire's chairman will sign up a financial advisor to aid in privatizing the Ukraine State Property Fund. AT&T CEO Robert signed a huge contract to supply switching systems for all Kazakhstan. US West joined with the Hungarian government to own and operate a national cellular telegram system. GM Vice President joined the government's Hungary and the organized to make cars. GE CEO Jordan and the Vice President bought a minority stake in Hungary's lighting industry. Rustem period American Express was manga. Hardly a single American brand name was missing. In February 1990, the Clinton administration made a $1 billion loan on US payment to Russian state-controlled Aeroflot company so it could more effectively compete with the American companies such as Boeing in the building of jumbo jets. By the end of that year, the former Soviet bloc countries had received contributions from the World Bank of over $3 billion. Now the action has spread to China. Okay, this finally we get to China, American banks and the businessmen, with taxpayers standing by the with guarantees have provided power generating equipment, modern steel mills, and military hardware, including artillery shells, anti-submarine torpedoes, and high-tech electronic gear to update Russian-made jet fighters. All of this is planned as a means of winning the Red Chinese away from Mother Russia and encourage them to move closer to free enterprise capitalism. Yet in 1985, at the height of the frenzy over building trade bridge to China, the region signed a 14 billion trade pact with Russia, and in 1986 sent 20 million interest-free loan to the communist Sandinists in Nicaragua, even after 19 Tiananmen Square massacre, massacre, Tiananmen Square massacre in Beijing when the U.S. officials were publicly condemn China for human rights violations. Business quietly continued last year. The United States cannot condemn the violent attacks and cannot ignore the consequences for our relationship with China, said President Bush. Yet, within only a few weeks of the bloodshed, and at the very time that student leaders were being executed, the administration approved a $200 million low-interest loan for delivery of our four of Boeing's newest jumbo jet aircraft, and in 1993, 47 more jetlines were sold, with a projected sale of 800 more over the next 15 years. Amoco is spreading $1.5 billion to develop oil fields in China Sea, a joint venture between the Chinese government and Chrysler. Chrysler is building military jeeps. A similar joint project is being used to update their F-8 fighter planes. 3 communications satellites were cleared for delivery. AT&T contracts a $30 million cellular communications network. Even the president's brother, Prescott Bush, resumed his plan to set up resumed his plan to set up a satellite-linked computer network and to build a golf course near Shanghai. China's interest in military technology is revealing. In addition to the advanced hardware purchased from the United States, the Chinese have bought MiG-31 and Su-27 jet fighters from Russia and an aircraft carrier constructed in Ukraine. In May 1992, China set off its biggest underground nuclear blast. In 1997, the purchase list was extended to include self-propelled gun motor system and Russia's most advanced desire electronic submarines. Although it is known that China maintains a slave labor workforce in excess of 1 million people, they call them convicts. And although the Tariff Act of 1990 prohibits the United States from importing any goods made even in part by convicts or other forced laborers, every administration, starting with Nixon, has renewed the most favored nation trade states for China. How is China expected to pay all this trade? Very simple. By 1996, China had become the largest single recipient of guaranteed loans and subsidies from the World Bank. In addition to these decades of global trade, credit, and taxpayer guarantees, the United States government has transferred tens of billions of dollars in direct foreign aid grants with no pretense at all regarding expectation of repayment. The trail leads to Wall Street, and the tracks are fresh. The Roundtable Network did succeed in exploiting the markets of Eastern Europe and continues to do so today. The cast of characters has changed. But the plane remains the same. In the beginning, the Council of Foreign Relations was dominated by JP Morgan. It is still controlled by international financiers. The Morgan Group gradually has been replaced by the Rockefeller Consortium, and the roll call of participating businesses now reads like a Fortune 500. The operation no longer pretends to be Red Cross mission. It now masquerades under the cover of East-West trade, 东西方贸易。Politicians are fond of talking about the necessity of preserving world peace and trade. We are told it is one of the best ways to do it. The implication is that this is a time of peace. In truth, we live in one of the most war-torn areas the world has ever seen. No continent today, except Antarctica, are free from war. They are from military struggle going to somewhere every day of the year. There have been more than 100 armed conflicts since the end of World War II, with the death count already exceeds 20 million and rising. I can't help noticing that this also has been a period of rising government debt and the global creation of fiat money. The new alchemy. The new alchemy. Okay, I think that's all for today. 哎呀，老皮儿新皮儿装旧醋啊，都是这么玩的呀，真的是好直接呀，好直接呀，好直接呀，好直接呀。Okay, I think that's all for today. Thank you. Bye bye. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.